Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the NBA slate on Draftkings for Monday, November the 14th. We do have a 7-game Monday slate, and as always guys, we're going to go game by game. We're going to talk through each one of these 7 games, give you guys my quick early thoughts on the slate, what I do like taking a first look on Sunday night. Before we do get started with the breakdown though, if you guys do enjoy these DFS videos, if they do help you out, hit that like button down below. I always appreciate the likes. Hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And if you're new here, check out the sponsor of the video, PrizePicks. So PrizePicks, they are a player prop based DFS site. I'm sure most of you guys have heard about PrizePicks, but if you're not signed up for PrizePicks yet, get signed up. Use promo code NOAH. You will get your first deposit matched up to $100 when you do sign up with my promo code. And like I said, PrizePicks is a player prop based site, so you're taking more or less on a player's projection. It is very simple and easy to use. You have to make at least 2 picks, but you can make up to 5 picks, and you can win up to 10 extra money on PrizePicks. You can mix and match sports, so you can make multi-sport entries. You can have a 2-pick or a 5-pick entry with 2 NBA picks, 2 NFL picks, and 1 college basketball pick. There's a lot of ways you can play on PrizePicks. They have a ton of different sports that they offer. If you guys are not signed up yet, get signed up. Use promo code NOAH. You will get your first deposit matched up to $100 when you do sign up with my promo code. And I know I didn't make any PrizePicks videos over the weekends, at least for NBA, but I will have an NBA video posted probably sometime on Monday. Right now, at the time of making this video on Sunday night, there's really not a ton of props up, so it's going to be tough to make a video tonight. I'll probably get my PrizePicks video up sometime kind of Monday morning. Check the channel out then if you do want to know some plays I like for today on PrizePicks. But let's go ahead and talk through this 7-game Monday slate. Start off with the first game of the night, the Hornets and the Magic. So looking at this game, we do have some news to watch in this one. Definitely the big one is Paolo Banchero, who is currently questionable. Pretty sure Banchero has been out through their last 2 games. Looks like he did go through practice on Saturday, so I would say he's probably trending towards playing, but this will be something to monitor. We'll have to keep an eye on this heading up to lock. This is one of the first games of the night, so we'll have this news before lock and plenty of time. If Banchero does play, it is a pretty good spot against Charlotte. Charlotte this season's actually kind of been better defensively. They haven't been playing at as fast of a pace. But I think getting LaMelo Ball back, this Charlotte team is definitely going to start playing faster with LaMelo. So I think the matchup's fine for Banchero here. The $8,700 salary feels about right for him, but the upside is definitely there in this spot, assuming he does play. Now, LaMelo Ball, we did see him make his season debut on Saturday. He only played 28 minutes. They were clearly kind of limiting him in that game. We don't really know yet what kind of minutes limit LaMelo's going to be on today, if he's going to be on a minutes limit. So this will be something we kind of have to keep an eye on as well. 8,600 is kind of cheap for LaMelo. Like, he's normally a guy we do see priced above 9K. But we just don't know yet if he's going to be playing full minutes. So it's just something we have to keep an eye on. If he's limited, you can't go there. But if he's going to be full go, if he can play 34, 35 minutes today, I think LaMelo is viable in tournaments because I'd assume his ownership will be pretty low. And with LaMelo back now, that does make guys like Terry Rozier, Kelly Oubre, obviously Dennis Smith Jr. pretty much out of play for me. I will say that, Terry Rozier, he's still shown some upside, but I just think his ceiling's not as high with LaMelo back. And then Kelly Oubre's been playing kind of well lately, but his price tag's up now. And I think his upside's just capped with LaMelo out there. So that's really, it for Charlotte. I mean, Charlotte's not a team I have a ton of interest in today. On the Orlando side, outside of Banchero, the rest of these guys don't really look that appealing unless Banchero sits. If Banchero does wind up sitting, then we can start to look to guys like Franz Wagner. Maybe you could go to Bol Bol. Maybe you could go to Jalen Suggs. I do want to mention Chuma Okeke just because he has started the last 2 games in place of Banchero. He's played 32 and 30 minutes. If Banchero were to be out again, I'd assume Okeke would start. Probably play 30, 32 minutes. He'd be a pretty decent value play. But for now, I'm expecting Banchero to play, which, again, doesn't make this game look super appealing. We talked about the few guys I do have some interest in, though. We can go ahead and move on to the next game, though, talk about Toronto and Detroit. So we got some injuries in this one as well. No Siakam, no Fred VanVleet, no Cade Cunningham. There's definitely some plays to like in this game. So without Fred VanVleet and Pascal Siakam, we can obviously expect pretty big roles for Scotty Barnes, for OG Anunoby, for Gary Trent too. Now, Gary Trent's kind of been disappointing lately, but Scotty Barnes and OG have been pretty consistent. Scotty Barnes, last few games, we haven't really seen a massive game from him, massive ceiling, but he's been playing huge minutes. Without VanVleet, he's going to handle the ball more. His assist numbers should be up. He should just get more usage in general. I still think at 8K, Scotty Barnes is firmly in play today. I think OG's solid as well. OG's been really good this season. He's been scoring a lot more. He's been racking up a ton of defensive stats. The price tag at 7,400 does feel about right for him, but the minutes are going to be there. Usage should be there as well. He's viable on this slate. And like I said, Gary Trent, Not really been playing that well lately, but I think he does have a higher ceiling without Siakam and Van Vliet. He's definitely going to get more usage. He just has to make some shots. I mean, last game he shot 1 for 13. Obviously, it's going to be hard to have a good game when you shoot 1 for 13. But we did see him have that really good game against the Bulls where he had 36 DK points in 33 minutes. I'd assume his ownership's going to be fairly low today just because of how poorly he's played. So that does make him someone you can consider in tournaments. And then Chris Boucher, we've seen him start to get more minutes off the bench lately. Without Siakam and Van Vliet, I definitely think his minutes are a little bit more secure. That's just 2 less guys that could take minutes away from him. 31 and 28 minutes last 2 games from Boucher. We know that Boucher is a really good point per minute player. When he gets minutes, he's going to produce. The minutes are always a big question for him, but I think if he continues to play about 30 minutes a night, he's still a little bit too cheap at $5,600. And then we did see Toronto kind of change up their starting lineup on Saturday. They actually started Otto Porter and Thaddeus Young. So I'm guessing Otto Porter and Thaddeus Young both start again. Otto Porter's only 4K. He played 27 minutes in the starting lineup. He didn't really do much. 6 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. But, if you're looking for a value play, I think Porter's someone you can look to. I think Thad Young looks pretty appealing, though. Thad Young has historically been a decent point-per-minute player when he was on the Pistons, when he was on the maybe not the Pistons. I think he was on the Pistons. But when he was on the Pacers, he was a good point-per-minute player. So far this season with the Raptors, he hasn't gotten a ton of playing time, but he's been close to a fantasy point-per-minute player. He played 34 minutes last game. He had 27 DK points. I'd assume we get like 30 minutes again from Thad Young against the Pistons. I think this is a decent spot. So at 3,900, I'm definitely interested in Thad Young, assuming he does start again. I think he's a pretty good value play on the slate. And then on the other side with Detroit, so without Cade Cunningham, there's going to be a lot of usage available. Jaden Ivey at 6,200, I think is viable. Tougher matchup against Toronto, but Ivey's going to have a big role. He should play big minutes. His scoring should definitely be up without Cade Cunningham. We did see him score 26 points last game, which was a season high. So I definitely think Jaden Ivey looks more appealing. I think, guys like Bojan Bogdanovic, Sadiq Bey also benefit. Bojan's the one I feel better about. He's just been playing better. Last 2 games, 34, 41 DK points. Not normally a guy I like to roster just because he is a pretty scoring-dependent player. But we've seen him rebounding pretty well this season. He's been getting some assists too. I think he's still in play at 5,600. And then, Sadiq Bey hasn't been as great, but I definitely think there's more upside available for him without Cade Cunningham. He just hasn't really been shooting the ball that well. If you want to go there, I think it's fine, but he's probably like my least favorite of all the Pistons. And then do want to mention that Killian Hayes did start last game at point guard in place of Cade Cunningham. I'm guessing Killian Hayes starts once again. Even in the game where he came off the bench, he still played 34 minutes, and then obviously last game he got 35 minutes. Killian Hayes he's kind of been a productive player when he gets minutes. He's one of these guys that can do a little bit of everything when he's on the floor. He's a pretty decent rebounder. He can get assists. He can score a little bit. 4,400 is definitely too cheap for Killian Hayes if we expect him to play low to mid-30s in minutes. So there's actually a lot to like in this game. You wouldn't think Raptors-Pistons would be a game worth targeting, but the injuries in this one make there be a lot of viable plays here. Scotty Barnes, OG, Ivy, Bojan, Boucher, and then Hayes, Thad Young. Those are probably my favorites. I don't know if I'd be playing all those guys in one lineup, but there's definitely some good plays in this game, and there's a lot to like here. With the value that's available. Definitely think a lot of our value is going to be coming from this game. But let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Talk about OKC and Boston. So there's not really a ton that I'm loving in this one. I think on the Boston side, Jason Tatum obviously had a pretty good game on Saturday with Jaylen Brown out. Now that his price is up to $10,800 and Jaylen Brown is expected back, really not a ton of interest in Tatum at this salary. SGA has just been amazing this season. He's been scoring a ton. He's averaging over 31 points per game. It's definitely a tougher matchup against the Celtics, but $8,900 is too cheap for SGA no matter what the matchup is. He's shown that he can produce even in bad matchups. So I'm fine going to SGA. I think that price tag is still a little bit too low for him. Jaylen Brown is playable, but I'm not loving him at $8,500. The rest of this game is not that appealing. I will say that, Malcolm Brogdon's out still, so we should see more minutes for a guy like Derek White, but he's now up to 5,100, so it's hard to get excited about Derek White. There are some question marks on the OKC side right now with some of their bench guys. Trey Mann is listed as, I think he's questionable. He got ruled out, or he played their last game, but he got injured and then didn't return, so he has a chance to miss today, and I think Darius Bazley was out their last game. We'll have to keep an eye on his status. But, this Thunder team, they run a really deep rotation. They're going to play a lot of guys. So even if Trey Mann and Bazley are both out, I really don't think that changes a ton. Maybe makes a guy like Aaron Wiggins look a little bit more appealing if you wanted to go there. But yeah, like I'm not really going to be rostering mini Thunder today outside of probably SGA and maybe Giddey, but SGA I think is the guy that looks most appealing from OKC. But yeah, that's probably it for this one. Guys like Grant Williams have been playing well lately, but I think with Al Horford back and Jaylen Brown back, I'm not really going to go there at 5,300. So yeah, that does it for this game. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one, Phoenix and Miami. So got some injuries to watch in this game. Tyler Hero questionable. I believe he's been out their last 2 games. And then Chris Paul's questionable as well. I think he's missed their last 2 games. So Chris Paul and Tyler Hero, if they both play, I don't see a ton that I'm loving in this one. Jimmy Butler, has been playing pretty well lately, has shown some big upside, had that really big game against Charlotte where he put up 64 DK points. This is definitely a tougher matchup, though, against Phoenix. I will say that it does seem like whenever the Heat play like another big-time opponent, so whenever they play like the Warriors, we saw him have a decent game. We saw Jimmy Butler have a decent game. It does seem like Jimmy Butler gets up for these big-time games, but in 9,100, he's not someone I'm really prioritizing today. He'd look a little bit more appealing if Hero were to get ruled out, but even if Hero does sit, I'm not gonna be running to roster Jimmy Butler. Same goes for Bam. Same goes for Lowry. And then the Phoenix guys like Devin Booker at 9K, Mikal Bridges at 6,400. I'm really only interested in these Phoenix guys if Chris Paul is out. If Chris Paul plays, I don't have a ton of interest in Booker or Bridges where they're priced at. Cameron Payne obviously has been playing great lately the last 2 games without Chris Paul. 35 minutes in both games, 46 and 34 DK points. Even at 6,300, if Chris Paul is out again, I still think Cameron Payne is in play at this salary. Whenever Cameron Payne is starting and playing 35, 36 minutes, he should be like 7K. Like, he's still too cheap in my opinion. So my favorite play in this game would probably be Cameron Payne if Chris Paul gets ruled out. If Chris Paul plays, I really don't like much here. And if Tyler Hero plays, I really don't like much on Miami either. So kind of wait and see with this one. That's kind of my thoughts on it. Just kind of, first look though. We'll have to wait and see if Chris Paul and Hero both play. But let's go ahead and move on to the next game, Atlanta and Milwaukee. So looking at this one, starting off at the top with Giannis. We did see Giannis sit. I believe that was on Saturday that he sat against San Antonio. But he's probable, so he's expected to play for Monday's game. He should be back for this one. Drew Holiday is still out, and it doesn't look like Chris Middleton's ready to play yet either. So we should expect a massive role here for Giannis without Middleton and Drew. I mean, his numbers should be great. His usage rate should be sky high. He's going to have the ball in his hands a ton. He's going to be taking a ton of shots. The entire offense is going to run through Giannis. Even at 12-4, I want to try and find a way to pay up for Giannis today. And we talked about some value plays that look good in that Detroit-Toronto game. So with some value available in that game, we should be able to pay up for Giannis today. And I think he is definitely the top pay-up option overall on this slate. And then the 2 Atlanta guards, Trae Young and DeJounte Murray, they're fine, but neither one stand out on this slate. I think they're both priced appropriately, especially, on this slate. Like, I would just rather try and get up to Giannis. But they have upside. I just don't think they're going to be guys that I go out of my way to play. And then Bobby Portis, now that Giannis is back, I really don't have any interest in Bobby Portis. And that kind of goes for everyone on Milwaukee. All these Milwaukee guys got priced up for when Giannis was out. So now that Giannis is back, Portis, Brolo, Carter, Grayson Allen, like all these guys are overpriced. There's really nothing I like on Milwaukee today outside of Giannis. And the rest of Atlanta, like nothing really stands out on Atlanta today. We did see Clint Capella get some good minutes last game with Onyeka Okongwu out, but now that Okongwu is back, I think Capella probably goes back to playing like 25, 26 minutes, so really don't have any interest in him. Honestly, I think in this game, it's just Giannis, and that's really it. Like, nothing else really stands out. So we can go ahead and move on to the next game, talk about the Clippers and the Rockets. So for the Clippers today, no Kawhi Leonard still, and no John Wall either. So we should expect a pretty big usage rate, pretty big role for Paul George. Paul George on this slate, is he someone that I'm going to be trying to jam in? I don't think so. Right now, if I had to build my lineup at the time I'm making this video, I think I would be trying to build around Giannis. But if by some chance some guys surprisingly get ruled out and we get a lot of value and I can play like Paul George and Giannis together, I think that'd be something worth doing because Paul George definitely offers a lot of upside here. It's a really good matchup against the Rockets. We saw Paul George have a huge game against the Rockets earlier this season. Rockets this season, they've been better defensively in terms of defensive rating, or actually they've been pretty bad defensively. They're still towards the bottom of the league in defensive rating, and in terms of pace, they're still top 10 in pace. Like, I think it's a really good matchup. The Rockets are 29th in defensive rating, and they're playing at a top 10 pace. So I definitely think Paul George is in play here. I just would say that right now I'm going to be prioritizing getting up to Giannis, but I still think Paul George is a really good pay-up option. On the Clippers side, I'm just kind of looking at the mid-tier plays in this game. You got Zubac at 6,900. Zubac, we know, is a guy that offers a lot of upside. It's just a matter of how many minutes is he going to play. His minutes have been really secure lately, though. I mean, we've seen him play at least 33 minutes now in 4 out of their last 5 games. If we get 33, 34 minutes from Zubac here, like, he's got 40-plus point upside. Now, I think at 6,900, he's kind of priced where he should be, but the upside's there for Zubac if he gets the minutes. Şengün's another guy that has upside if he gets the minutes. His minutes have not been as high, but he should get about 30 to 32 minutes here. He had a really big game against the Clippers earlier this season, 48 DraftKings points in 33 minutes. It was his best game of the season. I would not be surprised to see Şengün put up another big game here. So I do have some interest in Şengün in the mid-range. And then Kevin Porter Jr. I think is a solid play too. You know, he hasn't been great lately, but we know he's going to have a big usage rate. He's going to play a lot of minutes. He had a really good game against the Clippers earlier this season. And for what it's worth, you know, right now, Jalen Green is questionable, and I think this is kind of big news. If Jalen Green does sit, we should see more usage and more opportunity for Kevin Porter Jr. to produce. I think he would be an even better play if Jalen Green were to sit, and you probably would get some value as well. I don't know who would start if Jalen Green got ruled out. Could be a guy like Josh Christopher, maybe. I don't think Josh Christopher's been playing a ton lately, but I'd assume he would start if Jalen Green were to sit. So like Josh Christopher would be someone we could consider for value. Maybe they would start Garrison Matthews. I guess he would be playable. And then, you know, Eric Gordon, I think, would look a little bit more appealing. I think his minutes will be a little bit higher, a little bit more secure without Jalen Green. So there could definitely be a lot of plays to like on the Houston side today if Jalen Green sits. And then the rest of the Clippers, you know, outside of Paul George and Zubac, I really don't see a ton else I'm liking here. You know, without John Wall and Kawhi Leonard, especially without John Wall, we should see Reggie Jackson get some pretty good minutes, but Reggie Jackson has just not been that good this season. I mean, his best game of the season came against the Cavaliers when he put up 30 DraftKings points. Like, he just has shown no upside this year. I feel like a good game is going to come at some point for Reggie Jackson. It's a good matchup. He's only 5,100, so I think he's in play for GPPs, but man, like, it's hard to feel good about Reggie Jackson right now just because he's literally been playing so bad this season. He's shown no upside at all, but I definitely think his minutes are going to be pretty secure without John Wall. So he's at least playable, but that's probably it for this game. I think we can go ahead and talk about the last game of the night. We got one late night hammer, the Spurs and the Warriors, and this is a pretty appealing one. So far this season, looking at pace, the Warriors are playing at the second fastest pace in the league, and the Spurs are 5th in pace. So both these teams are top 5 in pace this season. The Spurs are 28th in defensive rating, and the Warriors are 27th in defensive rating. The Warriors have really struggled defensively this year. So this should be a very fast-paced, high-scoring game. And I think there's a lot to like in this one. Steph Curry is another strong pay-up option today. I would still put him behind Giannis. I think I'd put him pretty closely with Paul George. Honestly, I think I would put Steph ahead of Paul George just because the Spurs this season have just been so bad defensively, and I think the matchup is so good that this could be another big game for Steph. Now, I do want to mention that the Warriors are on a back-to-back today. They did play against the Kings on Sunday night, and I know recently when they were on a back-to-back, we did see the Warriors sit a bunch of their guys. I'm assuming all the Warriors starters are going to play today, but definitely keep an eye on this since they are on a back-to-back. But yeah, if Steph is good to go, I think it's a great spot for him against San Antonio, and this could be a matchup where he just destroys. So definitely like Steph today. Keldon Johnson, Andrew Wiggins, like there's a lot of viable plays in this game outside of Steph. I think Keldon Johnson at 7,100 looks pretty appealing. He's been super, super consistent lately. We haven't seen like a massive ceiling from Keldon Johnson this year, at least not as of late, but I think it's a really good matchup. It should be a fast-paced game. I think he's a viable play in the mid-range. Wiggins at 6,900 feels priced about right. Jakob Poeltl, I think, is in a pretty good spot. The Warriors this season have been giving up a lot of fancy points to centers. We've seen Poeltl kind of show somewhat of a big ceiling this year. He's been scoring pretty well. He's been rebounding really well. He's a guy that can get defensive stats too. 6,700, like I kind of like Poeltl in the mid-range. And then, Devin Vassell, I think, is priced about right, but I think there is some upside for him here in what should be a fast-paced game. Probably would take Poeltl over him straight up, though. I think Poeltl is just a better play in general, has a higher ceiling. But Vassell is viable. Draymond Green, he's not been a guy that I've rostered a ton this year, but again, this should be a very fast-paced, high-scoring game. This is going to be a game I want to get some exposure to. So I think Draymond at 5,800 is fine as like a cheaper option. Probably it, though. The other guy I do want to mention is Trey Jones. I think Trey Jones, he might be the best play in this game. I mean, 5,500 for Trey Jones. Like, I don't know what DraftKings is doing. Trey Jones continues to crush every night, and DraftKings just keeps lowering his price. He was 5,900 against Denver. He put up 42 DraftKings points. Next game, he was 5,800, and he put up 35 DK points. Next game, he's 5,600, and he puts up 32 DK points. Like, his price tag is going down, and his production has still been great. So, yeah, 5,500 for Trey Jones. His minutes have been really secure lately. It's a good matchup. It's a fast-paced game. I think Trey Jones is probably my favorite play overall in this game. then Steph Curry, and then we can look to guys, like Johnson, Pirtle, Draymond. But that's probably it for this one. I think that kind of covers everything here. But this is definitely going to be a game you want to get some exposure to. Should be a very fast-paced, high-scoring game, and hopefully it would stay close as well. But that's probably it, guys. I think that does everything. We covered everything for this 7-game Monday slate. So as always, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hit that like button down below if you did enjoy. Hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. If you're new here, check out the sponsor of the video, PrizePicks. PrizePicks, a player prop-based DFS site. Mention them at the beginning. If you sign up and use promo code NOAH, you will get your first deposit matched up to $100 when you do sign up with my promo code. And I will be sharing a couple plays I like for PrizePicks today. I will have a video posted later, probably sometime on Monday. Check the channel out, early Monday morning. Should have a PrizePicks video up talking through some plays I like for today. If you guys want to tell me, as always, check out those PrizePicks videos. And if you're not signed up for PrizePicks yet, get signed up, use promo code NOAH, and get that deposit bonus when you do sign up. But as always, best of luck tonight, guys. Appreciate you watching the video. Hope you did enjoy. Hope the video helped, and we will see you in the next one. Peace.